G'day everyone, Jeremy here with another review video for the YouTube channel. Today we're doing something a little bit different because we are having some technical issues. So I'm having to film this on a different camera. So please bear with me while we get things resolved. But I thought it was very important to get this video out as soon as possible because today we are reviewing the Baz Luhrmann movie for Elvis. It has just been released and I thought it would be very important to get this video out there just in case anyone else is looking at seeing it this weekend. So before I jump into that review, I do want to just thank everyone who has already subscribed to the channel. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you never miss a video. And if you do enjoy these videos, make sure you give them a thumbs up. That also helps us with the YouTube algorithm and helps promote our videos to other people who might not otherwise know they exist. Also, if you're looking for some extra content, feel free to head over to Instagram and check out our Instagram account at Jackednnerdy. There's lots of extra content there, lots of behind the scenes stuff. Not just on the nerdy side, there's also lots of stuff on the jacked side with diet recommendations and workouts and various different things on the jacked side as well as the nerdy. Okay, so with that out of the way, Baz Luhrmann's Elvis. Now, if you've seen my initial out of the cinema reaction, you would know I was very nervous going into this movie. I was a bit worried because I didn't know what to expect. Because full disclosure, I am not a Baz Luhrmann fan. I haven't seen Moulin Rouge. I haven't seen Australia. I didn't like Romeo and Juliet, contrary to popular belief. A lot of people love that film. I did not like it personally. The only Baz Luhrmann film that I've ever enjoyed was Strictly Ballroom, which came out way back in the early 90s, possibly late 80s. But definitely early 90s, Strictly Ballroom. If you haven't seen it, it is a fantastic movie, all filmed here in Australia. But that's the only movie of Baz Luhrmann's entire repertoire that I've actually liked or seen. Everything else I've not bothered to watch or I didn't like it at all. So, going into this movie, I won't say I was extremely nervous, but I was pretty nervous because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know whether or not I was going to enjoy it or not. However, again, if you've seen my initial reaction video, I was very pleasantly surprised by the quality of this movie. I enjoyed it immensely. My feet were tapping all the way through. Straight from the onset, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. Now, I am not a big Elvis buff or fan. I enjoy his music, when I hear it periodically here and there. But I'm not what you would call a die-hard Elvis fan. I didn't know much about his story. Obviously, this is not a hard and fast biopic. It's a film. It's an entertainment film. So I'm sure they take a lot of liberties and accentuate a lot of different things. But that being said, there were certain things that I came out of this film knowing now that I didn't know before. Just having a proper appreciation for who Elvis was and what he did for music and what he did, just the things that he achieved and things that are affected today as a result of him. So I learned a lot. And I also just found an appreciation for his work ethic and everything. So So I found, so coming out of this movie, I found an appreciation for a number of things. So let's get into it. So obviously, I've already mentioned it's directed by Baz Luhrmann, distributed by obviously Warner Brothers Entertainment. Fantastic cast. Obviously, America's dad, or the world's dad, Tom Hanks. I definitely think there's a supporting actor nomination in this for him. He is fantastic. I never knew Tom Hanks could play such a... look, normally you love Tom Hanks. He plays the dad kind of figure, or, he plays the good guy, the nice guy, what have you. He is not a nice guy in this movie. If you know the story of Colonel Tom Parker, you already know this. I didn't know who he was going into it, but you could kind of get a bit of an idea from the trailers. He portrays a bit of a devil went down to Georgia kind of vibe, and he pulls it off. He's not a particularly likable man in this movie, but he plays it to a T. So Tom Hanks definitely will have a supporting actor nomination coming up. I would be willing to put money on that. Austin Butler, who plays Elvis, I don't think I've seen him in anything else. I may have, I may not have, and not realised it. But he did a fantastic job as well, portraying Elvis. He looked the part, he sounded the part. He was just absolutely brilliant. So, I think there's probably also a Best Actor nomination in the works for him for that role as well. And then there are lots of other fantastic actors and actresses. Olivia DeJonge, who plays Priscilla Presley. She was absolutely gorgeous and did a fantastic job as well. And then there's just a slew of other people. So too many to mention, but those three obviously have to give a big shout out to, especially because I do strongly believe there are lots of Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor nominations coming up there. So I touched on the story before, so again, I don't know how accurate it is. I mean, it hasn't been advertised as being a biopic. It's just been advertised as a Baz Luhrmann film, so I don't know how accurate this movie is. But that being said, purely from a story point of view, it was entertaining, it was engaging, it was enlightening. So I can't really fault the story. The music, I mean, obviously it's a movie about Elvis, one of the world's biggest music star. To this day, he's still the number one selling solo artist ever. To this day. And you know what? I don't think anyone will ever beat him and take that mantle. And this is coming from me, who's not the world's biggest Elvis fan. I just strongly believe that, no one will ever take that mantle away from him. He will always be the number one selling solo artist ever. So, making a movie about him, music was going to play a big role. What I found interesting, and I mean, Baz Luhrmann is notorious for this. Practically all of his movies are musicals in some fashion. But in this movie, and I don't know if he's done this before, he may well have done it before, but I found it really, really interesting how he used modern music and modern artists today and wove them into the telling of this story. So obviously you still have all your Elvis classics, Heartbreak Hotel, Jailhouse Rock, all of that. You've even, and you've got a lot of old school rhythm and blues, obviously from back in the 50s, 60s, and even some of the 70s. You've still got all of the old school, music from those eras, but then they also wove in periodically here and there some modern rhythm, R&B beats or things, and which just really took it to another level. So the use of music throughout this film was fantastic. It wasn't over the top. It wasn't a complete musical. They're not singing and dancing in the streets like La La Land or anything like that. It was, music was used purely as a storytelling device at different periods in his career and in his life. So the use of music throughout this was fantastic. I couldn't fault it at all. I found it very interesting. If you hang around with the credits long enough, there's a song which I'm going to have to try and look it up online. It was a classic Elvis song that they've remixed, and I believe and again, I could be wrong. I did come out of this movie at midnight, but it sounded like Eminem was dubbed or was singing over a classic Elvis track. So I'm going to have to do some research into that and see if I can track it down, because it did sound really, really good. So I'll just put that in there as well. And I think they used Nicki Minaj in it as well, which I thought was very interesting as well. And again, I could be wrong. It could be a different artist. To me, it sounded like Nicki Minaj. So the use of music was fantastic in this film. I can't fault that at all. So far I've covered, the directing, the story, the music, the acting, the casting, all of that, which I've really, really enjoyed. The one negative I have about this film, and it is only a very, very small negative. The only negative I have about this film is that it is a long film. It's 2.5 hours. And you start to feel it a bit towards the end. You start to feel a little bit kind of like, okay, I'm getting a bit tired now, or what have you. Maybe it was just because I saw a late night screening. Maybe if I saw it in the middle of the day, it would be perfectly fine. But it did feel a little bit long in the tooth. So they could have possibly shaved maybe 20 minutes out of this movie, and it still would have been as good. It still would have been a fantastic film, and I don't think it would have been to the detriment of the film in any way. They could. There's probably just a number of things that they could have just shaved out, shaved down, taken about 20 minutes off the top, and it still would have been a fantastic movie. So that's my only criticism. It is a little bit long in its run time, at 2.5 hours. But that being said, if that's my only criticism, that's pretty good. Considering, as I said, I went into this film not really knowing what to expect, a little bit worried as to whether or not I was going to like it at all. So that being said, that's my only criticism. And apart from that, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. But what did you think? That's what I want to know. Did you enjoy this movie? Do you rank it up there with some of Baz Luhrmann's best work? Again, because I only like the one film out of Baz Luhrmann's entire repertoire, I would rank it up there as one of his best. But what do you guys think? Are you an Elvis fan? Was this accurate? Historically accurate? If you are a massive Elvis fan, hit me up in the comments section. Let me know how accurate this film was. Because as I said, I'm not the biggest history buff of Elvis. I don't know his, the full story. So I'd be interested to know just how accurate this film is. So hit me up in the comments section below. Let me know if you enjoyed this film. Let me know if you know how accurate it is. And also, hit us up in the comments as well. Let us know if there's any other upcoming movies, TV shows, toy releases, any mini-series, anything at all you want us to see us do a review of. Hit us up in the comments. Let us know. We read all of the comments and we're always open to feedback. because feedback from you guys helps us develop the channel and make sure we're putting out good content that you guys enjoy. So hit us up, let us know. If you did enjoy this video, also give it a thumbs up. But for now, I'm going to leave it at that because I thoroughly enjoyed this film. There's not much more I can say. Get out there and check it out for yourself and let me know what your thoughts are. So until next time, guys, stay jacked and stay nerdy.